entitled, "Mom Tries to Force Me to Sell My Property to Pay for Her Daughter's College, and Does This When I Refuse." This is just a vent post, but any advice would be appreciated. Hello everyone, I'm a 34-year-old property owner with a string of houses in my hometown. This didn't happen overnight. It's the result of years of hard work, careful investments, and sacrifices. For context, I come from a modest family. My parents were both blue-collar workers who labored tirelessly to provide a comfortable life for me and my siblings. They always dreamed of owning their own home, but it was beyond their reach. Their struggles ignited my ambition and fueled my determination to build a better life for myself and my family. I met my wife during our college years. She shared similar experiences, having been raised by a single mother who worked multiple jobs to make ends meet. She learned the importance of financial prudence and resourcefulness early on. Together, we vowed to overcome financial struggles and create a stable life for our future children. Over the years, my wife and I tirelessly bought, renovated, and flipped houses. We saved every penny and made careful investments, which eventually led to us owning several properties. Each property represents years of hard work, countless sacrifices, and a shared dream between us. Today, I'm a father to two wonderful kids, a son and a daughter. Our properties aren't just a source of income. They're a symbol of our dedication to securing a future for our children. Little did I know that my life would soon take an unexpected twist, thanks to an entitled woman named Emily, 40 degrees Fahrenheit. Emily has been one of my tenants for a few years. She resides in a comfortable 3-bedroom house that I carefully saved up to purchase years ago, before I married my wife. The property is in a prime location in the city and is close to her daughter's high school. Emily is a single mother. Her husband abandoned her unexpectedly after their daughter was born. When I learned of her circumstances, I offered her subsidized rent to help her afford the place. I knew I'd lose out on money, but I wanted her and her daughter to have a stable home. Over the years, I've never increased the rent, and it's remained the same. Emily had been a reliable tenant, always paying her rent on time. We developed a casual landlord-tenant relationship, and I'd occasionally help her with repairs around the house. Her daughter, Lily, was a high school senior preparing to apply for college. 3 months ago, Emily informed me that Lily had been accepted into a prestigious out-of-state university, a remarkable achievement. However, the university was also very expensive, and unfortunately, her scholarship covered less than 10% of the fees. I knew the financial obstacles of higher education and had my reservations about how they'd manage it. One day, Emily asked to meet me. Assuming it was about renovations or repairs, I agreed without hesitation. We sat down in her living room, and she began by thanking me for being so generous with the rent over the years. She then explained that she desperately wanted Lily to attend her dream university, but after crunching the numbers, tuition, housing, and other expenses, she realized it was too much for her to handle alone. She'd reached out to financial aid, applied for scholarships, and even taken on a part-time job after her full-time one, but it still wasn't enough. I nodded solemnly, thinking she might ask to delay rent for the month, a request I would have understood. Instead, Emily made a staggering request that left me dumbfounded. She asked if I could sell the property she was living in. I stared at her in disbelief as she explained that the property would fetch good money, which could fund Lily's college education. "Are you serious?" I responded, a mix of astonishment and disbelief. "You want me to sell my property to pay for your daughter's college tuition?" Emily's eyes pleaded with me as she insisted it was her only hope to secure Lily's future. She even mentioned that she'd had the property appraised and was confident it could cover the entire cost of Lily's college fees. I asked her if she had lost her mind, because there was no way I was going to sell my property just so her daughter could attend a high-end university. I told her that this house meant something to me, and I wasn't going to part with it so easily. Emily insisted again, telling me that I could loan her the money, and her daughter would pay me back once she graduated. While I understood the importance of a college education, I wasn't about to accept her outrageous request. Her pleading made it clear that she was determined to fund her daughter's dreams, even if it meant making an outlandish proposition to someone who was practically a stranger. I calmly explained to Emily that the property was a significant part of my livelihood, and I couldn't simply sell it. The burden of her daughter's tuition shouldn't fall on my shoulders. I suggested that if she couldn't afford the university, she could ask family members for help or look into more affordable options for her daughter. Despite my efforts to reason with her, Emily continued to press the issue, insisting that I was the only one who could help and that selling my property wasn't a big deal. Realizing the conversation was going nowhere, I left the property after asking Emily not to approach me about this again. I urged her to see how outrageous her request was and to find another solution. I thought she'd eventually realize her mistake, but over the next few weeks, Emily didn't give up. As her daughter's college journey drew closer, the situation became increasingly unbearable. Despite my refusal, Emily kept pleading with me daily to sell the property. She even stopped paying rent in protest, souring our once amicable relationship. The tension between us grew as Emily remained steadfast in her belief that my property was the solution to her financial woes. She was convinced my refusal was selfish and that it was jeopardizing her daughter's future. On my end, I was losing money as she refused to pay rent. I warned her that I would take the matter to court, as we had an ironclad agreement, but she refused to comply. It became clear that her demands had no end. The turning point came when Emily started involving others in our dispute. She approached friends and neighbors, painting me as an unsympathetic landlord who refused to help a young girl achieve her dreams. She claimed I was wealthy but unwilling to loan her money, despite her struggles as a single mother. Her story garnered sympathy, and to amplify her cause, Emily took to social media. She wrote a Facebook post blaming me for her daughter's inability to attend college. Soon, rumors began circulating in our neighborhood. People sympathized with Emily's plight and assumed I was in a position to help, but was choosing not to. I couldn't help but feel like an outsider in my own community. My wife finally decided to reach out to Emily to address the escalating conflict. With tensions mounting, she felt direct communication might lead to a resolution. However, Emily wasn't in the mood for a calm discussion. She immediately launched into a tirade about how I, as the landlord, had the means to sell the property, which she believed was the only way to secure her daughter's future. Despite my wife's earnest attempts to reason with her, Emily's conviction remained unshaken. She insisted we had the means to fund her daughter's education and accused us of being selfish. The conversation went in circles, with Emily repeatedly pushing my wife to convince me to agree to her demands. Emily's social media post, which painted me as an unsympathetic and wealthy landlord refusing to help a young girl achieve her dreams, had a noticeable impact on the community. Some neighbors who had previously been friendly with us began to view us with skepticism. They believed I had the means to alleviate Emily's financial burdens, but was refusing out of selfishness. Others, who knew about my upbringing, hard work, and the reality of my situation, shared my perspective and were appalled by Emily's audacious demands. They reminded me to protect my property and maintain the hard-earned legacy I had built. The community became increasingly divided, with some sympathizing with Emily despite the mounting pressure. I stood my ground, resolute in my decision to protect my property. I had invested years of hard work and sacrifice to secure it, and I wasn't going to part with it so easily. Meanwhile, Emily continued to fuel the flames. She accused me of lacking empathy and exploiting her by letting her live in my property, rent-free. Her social media posts became increasingly vocal, sharing stories of her daughter's determination and the sacrifices she had made to prepare for college. The debate escalated from a private disagreement to a public discourse. The weight of the allegations started affecting my family. My kids began experiencing bullying at school, with their classmates parroting the false claims they had heard on social media about me. It was heartbreaking to witness the distress this situation caused them. It was then that I decided it was time to take action. I had kept quiet, thinking Emily would eventually stop, but now that my children were being affected, it was time to set the record straight and defend my integrity. I reached out to a lawyer who specialized in property disputes and tenant-landlord conflicts. We immediately drafted a cease and desist letter to put an end to Emily's defamatory actions and protect my standing within the community. My lawyer informed me that the cease and desist letter was the first step in our legal battle, and if Emily didn't back down, we would take it all the way to court. When Emily received the letter, she was understandably surprised. She attempted to reach out to me by phone, but I chose not to answer her calls. Instead, she sent me a text message expressing her desire to talk and clear things out before they escalated further. She claimed this was all a huge misunderstanding and that we could resolve it through conversation. I replied, stating my intention to take her to court. I told her to brace herself because she was going to regret ever trying to mess with me. I knew this would be an uphill fight. Emily had been relentless in insisting that I should pay her daughter's tuition and had spent months ruining our family's reputation, both in the community and online. My lawyer is currently preparing for the case in case it goes to trial. outlining all the false accusations and the harm she has caused us over the last few months. When some of my relatives found out I was taking her to court, they suggested I give her a chance to sort out the issue, citing her status as a single mother, trying to do what's best for her child. So, Reddit AITA for refusing to sell my property to pay for this entitled mother's daughter's college fees and instead dragging her to court. Hello everyone. To keep this video going, I need your help. We've noticed that the channel is losing traction, and subscribing is one of the best ways you can support us. It's quick, free, and helps us continue bringing you great stories. So, if you enjoy our content, take a moment to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Your support makes a huge difference. Alright, let's keep going. Update 1: Emily has responded to our legal action with a letter of her own, filled with threats and more defamation. She accused me of charging high rent, despite knowing her financial situation, which, according to her, made it impossible for her to save for her daughter's education. I can't believe how far she's willing to stoop to lie just to get what she wants. Her accusations are baseless, and it's frustrating to see her play the victim card when I had already provided her with subsidized rent. It's clear she's trying to manipulate the situation in her favor, and I'm not about to let that happen. My lawyer, Matthew, has assured me we have a strong case, as her accusations are baseless, but he's warned me to be prepared for a long and draining legal process. I can't help but think about how this situation escalated so quickly. It was never my intention to end up in a courtroom, especially with someone who had been a tenant on my property. But sometimes you have to stand your ground and protect what's rightfully yours. Emily might have her reasons, but I can't allow her to pressure me into selling my property. My family's future is at stake, and I'm determined to see this through, no matter how challenging it gets. I'll update you next when the legal proceedings begin. Update 2. Since my last update, the legal proceedings have officially begun. The anticipation leading up to the court date was excruciating. The courtroom was charged with tension as both parties presented their arguments and evidence. Emily, flanked by her attorney, portrayed herself as a struggling mother, determined to secure her daughter's future. Her attorney painted a vivid picture of financial hardships, emphasizing how my property had been the last lifeline for her daughter's dreams of attending a prestigious out-of-state university. Emily's testimony was laced with emotion, her eyes welling up with tears as she described the sacrifices she had made as a single mother, the long hours she worked, and her unwavering commitment to her daughter's success. She talked about her relentless job searches and numerous applications for scholarships and financial aid, painting herself as a mother who had left no stone unturned. Throughout the proceedings, Emily's attorney relentlessly painted me as a wealthy, unsympathetic landlord who prioritized profits over a young girl's dreams. They implied I had been aware of Emily's financial struggles, yet continued to exploit her situation by charging high rent. The most astonishing twist came when Emily introduced a witness, a family friend, who claimed to have witnessed a conversation between Emily and me where I allegedly promised to sell the property to finance her daughter's college education. I sat in disbelief as this blatant falsehood was presented in the courtroom. My attorney, Matthew, vehemently challenged this claim, asserting that no such conversation had ever taken place. He took a methodical approach to disprove the witness's claim. First, he cross-examined the family friend, asking detailed questions about the date, time, and location of the supposed conversation. The witness struggled to provide consistent details and couldn't produce any concrete evidence, such as text messages or emails, to support their claim. Their testimony became increasingly shaky under scrutiny. To further undermine Emily's case, Matthew presented evidence that directly contradicted her claims. He introduced records of text messages and emails exchanged between Emily and me during the time period when the alleged promise was said to have been made. These messages clearly showed that the subject of selling the property to fund her daughter's education had never been discussed. Additionally, we had a neighbor who lived adjacent to Emily's property testify that Emily had been paying less rent than all the other renters in the area. My lawyer pulled up receipts from other tenants to prove this. Matthew argued that the absence of any written or electronic communication regarding the supposed promise, coupled with the neighbor's testimony, cast serious doubt on the family friend's account. We then focused on proving that Emily had intentionally gone to great lengths to slander my reputation on social media, which had resulted in the bullying of my children. My attorney presented a comprehensive record of Emily's social media posts and messages, where she had accused me of being an unsympathetic and heartless landlord who refused to support her daughter's dreams. These posts were filled with emotional appeals and outright falsehoods, designed to gain sympathy and support from the community. We highlighted that these posts were intentionally crafted to create a narrative that painted her as a struggling mother doing everything in her power to secure her daughter's future, when in reality, she was emotionally blackmailing me to sell my property. Matthew introduced screenshots of social media comments and direct messages from individuals who had engaged with Emily's posts. Some of these individuals were part of the local community and had formed a negative opinion of me based on the false information presented by Emily. In addition to the social media evidence, we presented witness testimonies from my children, who described how they had been bullied at school due to Emily's social media posts. They explained how their classmates had echoed the false claims they had read online, leading to name-calling and harassment. My attorney went on to argue that there was a direct connection between Emily's false accusations on social media and the bullying my children had endured. The intentionally misleading narrative she had crafted not only damaged my reputation, but also directly affected my family's well-being. This presentation of evidence effectively showed how Emily's actions on social media led to real-life consequences for my children. As the legal proceedings continued, I remained confident that justice would be served. The evidence presented so far had shed light on the truth and exposed the false claims made against me. I believed the court would see through the manipulation and ensure a fair outcome in this case. Update 3. We won. The past month has been a grueling experience due to the legal proceedings. It felt like a roller coaster ride with unexpected twists and turns. My lawyer continued to present evidence and testimonies, which made it increasingly clear that Emily's claims were baseless. Her attempt to manipulate the situation by introducing a family friend who falsely testified about a promise I had never made fell apart under scrutiny. The lack of concrete evidence and inconsistencies in the witness's account cast serious doubt on the validity of their claims. After a thorough examination of all the evidence and testimonies, the judge finally announced the verdict and ruled in my favor. This came as a huge relief to me, and I was grateful that the judge had seen through all the baseless claims. Emily was found guilty of defamation and was ordered to pay damages for the harm she had caused to my reputation. This included paying the rent for the previous months, as well as additional fines. A restraining order was also issued by the judge, preventing Emily from making any further defamatory statements about me or my family. This ruling successfully validated my actions and my right to protect my property. As the legal battle concluded, I watched Emily sitting beside her lawyer, looking defeated. I turned to look at her daughter, Lily, and couldn't shake off the thought that her dreams had been compromised by her mother's sense of entitlement. This nightmare was finally coming to an end, with justice being served. It was a lesson for everyone on the importance of defending oneself and not letting someone else's audacious demands shake our core beliefs. I can now move forward with a renewed sense of self-assurance and the knowledge that my house and our livelihood are secure. I would like to thank everyone who has supported me in this journey so far. The mental pressure and struggles my family and I went through were immense, but ultimately, truth prevailed. Update 4. 6 months later. It has been 6 months since my last update. Following my courtroom victory, the restraining order has effectively silenced Emily, and the damages she had to pay for defamation provided some level of consolation for the harm done to my reputation. Emily and her daughter had to move out after I gave them the eviction notice. While their circumstances remained challenging, I knew they were no longer my responsibility. I did feel a twinge of sympathy for her daughter's lost educational opportunities, but the reality was that her mother's audacious request had put their family in a difficult situation. Emily was also forced to take down her defamatory social media posts as part of the court's ruling, and everyone quickly found out the extent of her lies. The last I heard about them was when Lily reached out to me with an apology out of nowhere. Lily had always been a great kid, and I had watched her grow up. But when her mother started falsely accusing me, I cut off contact with them. I was surprised that she wanted to get in touch with me after her mother publicly lost the case. Her message was filled with genuine remorse for the way her mother had behaved and the consequences that had befallen her family as a result. She expressed gratitude for our patience and understanding during the ordeal, recognizing that her mother's actions had caused harm to both our families. Lily also shared that they had relocated to a more affordable area and that she had decided to attend a local college to pursue her education. She informed me that she had spoken with her mother after the legal proceedings had ended and had asked her to back off, stating that she was determined to secure her own future without making any audacious demands. I felt sympathy for what she had to go through at such an early age because of her entitled mother's false claims. I told her that everyone deserves a second chance, and that it was admirable she was taking control of her own destiny. I wished her the best of luck with her studies and assured her that the past was behind us. Now that Emily and her daughter no longer live on my property, our life has settled into a new normal. The weight of the false accusations and the bullying our children faced earlier has been lifted. We took action by reaching out to our children's school and addressing the bullying they had gone through.